What is going on, fellow fans of Clash of Clans and mobile gaming? It is your host, Galadon, and today, an episode I've been promising you for a while. We are going to go ahead and show some Tribe Gaming replays in the background while I talk about, yes, spending over... Wait a minute. Hold on. We're out of gems. Okay, I was kind of low on gems, so we're going to go ahead and buy the $100 pack here because we need to have those gems in order to donate, because as you may have heard, I am the donation hound over here at Tribe Gaming. You can see that if you take a look at the clan roster right about here. Where am I? Okay, there I am. Yep, 37,000 troops donated, and that's in the last, 2 weeks. So, yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the replays. Now, you might think that I gave away an awful lot with the title and the thumbnail. Yes, over $100,000. And that is crazy, and it may seem insane to you, but I'm going to break it down, and we're going to do it with a little bit of Gala history. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, how I got started, and yes, okay, first of all, if you've seen me cast, if you've seen my live streams, you know that I'm not the average YouTuber slash gamer. I'm not like a young kid. I've been around the block a bit longer, and actually I grew up around the golden age of video games. Yes, part of my childhood was spent as a kid going to arcades because that was the only way you could play video games. Now, of course, my dad did bring home a Pong game system one day, and my life forever changed. From Pong onto the Atari 2600, onto the Commodore 64, and so on and so forth. But as a kid, as a teenager, I wasn't really like a nerd. I mean, I was like a surfer kid. I spent time at the beach. I was skateboarding. I was playing outside with my friends. But yes, I did always have this enthusiasm, and it's carried through my entire life, but I wasn't ever perceived as a nerd. So that's why this was such a shock to my friends and family when I went into doing YouTube content. Let me tell you, that's the last thing anybody expected had I told them that a couple of years before. But then again, it was the last thing I would have expected either. Honestly, you guys, I never set out to become a content creator. If you've heard the story, yes, I was a marketing director for a corporation. We were selling websites and marketing to doctors, dentists, private practice physicians. And my job was primarily to try to sell and close new clients and to maintain existing clients, schmooze them and make sure they were happy, visit their offices. And it was in the waiting rooms for these doctors' offices that gave me the free time to download apps. And yes, it was one fateful day while waiting to get my car washed that I downloaded Clash of Clans, and who knew where we would be 7 years later. Now, again, I never set out to make videos for views or for money. It was a thing back in the early days of Clash of Clans where you didn't have replays, you didn't have the ability to look at other players' replays and to break things down and to help each other out. The only way you could do that would be through the medium of YouTube. So I set out to make a few videos for my clan just talking about this brand new attack called Go Wipe because Town Hall 10 had just come out. And again, the rest is history. But this is not supposed to be about that. I was just kind of giving you some background that leads into where I am today and what happened over the last 7 years and $100,000. So, okay, now the biggest video game of my life before Clash of Clans had been World of Warcraft. Now, a lot of people have heard of that game, and before that, I played a game called EverQuest. Now, I had always had this entrepreneurial bug in me where I wanted to try to make money in any way possible if it were out there. So, at the end of my EverQuest playing career, I ended up selling all of my platinum on a website. I don't know if the website still exists. I'm not going to name it in the video, but I went on a website and I found a way to sell my platinum in EverQuest, and I ended up making around $16,000. I had spent a lot of time on EverQuest accumulating platinum. I believe I was the #1 tailor on my server, and if you ever played that game, you know that the top crafters had the ability to make insane amounts of platinum, and being the top tailor on my server was pretty crazy. It was pretty profitable. Okay, but anyway, so I went from that, I went to World of Warcraft, and honestly, I was looking for a game like World of Warcraft when I downloaded Clash of Clans. Now, of course, it's nothing like it, and interestingly enough, there's another game that I've also spent a bunch of money on called Lineage 2 Revolution. And had that game been in existence the day that I searched for Clash of Clans, my life would be completely different because I probably would have downloaded this game instead and ended up playing it, and yes, just the whole story would be different. Now, I do like Lineage 2 Revolution, but I do feel like there's too much of a pay-to-win element in the game. You know, you can spend a lot of money in that game, and I did. I probably spent about $10,000 on Lineage 2 Revolution, but I'll give you an explanation for why in a second. There were players in my clan. The top server player had spent over, you ready for this? Over $250,000. In one game, on one character, he had spent over $250,000. And honestly, I mean, that's the key to a successful app. You want an app, a game that people can play for free, yet if they want to go deep pockets, if they're like, you know, billionaire rich, they can spend the money if they want, and that's kind of what happened with Lineage 2 Revolution. Now, so let me break this down as I talk about the individual games that I've played and invested in, and that's where I want to talk about the 3 reasons that I've spent money on mobile games. Okay, now you can really break all of my spending down into one of these 3 categories. Number 1, I spent it as an investment. And what I mean is, well, okay, here's a perfect example. Clash Royale. When Clash Royale came out, it seemed like a lot of players from Clash of Clans were going to be interested in the game. I dove deep into Clash Royale the first month that it came out. In fact, I know for a fact that I spent roughly $11,000 in the first month of Clash Royale. So I went immediately to level 13. There was one other YouTuber that you may have heard of that also spent about the same amount of money that I did to get there as well. And yeah, it was not cheap, but I looked at it as an investment at that point. I had already gone full-time in YouTube. I was, you know, not working anything else but casting, streaming, and YouTube. And I thought, you know, Clash Royale, it seems like it's going to blow up. Let's invest the money into it so I can make end game content. And it turns out the first Clash Royale video I ever made became the single most viewed episode on my channel of all time, even surpassing Peter $17 winning Clash of Clans. Now, what I quickly learned was that I wasn't enjoying making the content as much because I found the game incredibly frustrating. For whatever reason, Rage Royale to me has been difficult to play without getting upset, and I've never really experienced that in any other game. So because of that fact, it's one of the main reasons that I eventually stopped making content for Clash Royale alongside my Clash of Clans content and went pretty much exclusively back to Clash of Clans because, well, Clash of Clans falls under number 3. I'll skip ahead. Spent because of sheer enjoyment. And it's true. I mean, I've always loved Clash of Clans. I've never really become completely burned out on the game. I think when I've become burned out at wars, I've switched to farming. Farming, I switched to a new account or trophy pushing, whatever the case may be. And yes, so here we go. On my main account in Clash of Clans, the account that I play that is completely maxed out Town Hall 12, I've spent approximately $45,000. Now, this, of course, is over a period of almost 7 years, and obviously is not all spent on upgrading. Like the $100 I spent at the beginning of the episode, so much has been spent on donations, on gemming armies when I'm impatient and I don't want to wait for them to train up. Especially now that we have Legend League, it's much more likely that I'm going to gem to completion those 8 attacks and get them all done at once. So $45,000 on my main account, and then several thousand, about 7,000 or 8,000 total on the Gem Farm Fix Max That Rush, because remember, we're at about 5,000 on the series, and I've spent about $2,000 getting it ready for the original purpose, which was to make a series alongside Chief Pat that didn't last very long, unfortunately. So yes, Clash of Clans alone, the single biggest spend of money on a mobile game by myself, and it's been over 7 years and 13 different accounts. I would say that we're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $50,000 to $60,000 spent on Clash of Clans alone. And, you know, but hey, I love playing the game and it's been a lot of fun. And yes, we did have sponsors here and there. If you remember Bren Chong, he sponsored my gemming to Town Hall 12. So that offset about $4,000 in costs right there. So, you know, sometimes things get offset. And all of these numbers, by the way, I know because I've tracked these things for tax purposes. Because this is my job, I'm able to write things off like this as work-related expenditures. So that's going to take me back to number 2 on my list of the 3 reasons why I spend money on mobile games, and that is spent money because I was being paid. And I have to put an asterisk next to this one because technically I didn't have to spend any money. Okay, what I'm talking about is sponsored episodes of different games that I've done, like maybe it was Skylanders, also of course it was Lineage 2 Revolution, a few other games in there that I actually enjoyed playing. Because, you know, that's the thing, you don't see a ton of sponsored content on my channel because honestly, I turned down about 80 to 90% of the offers to do sponsored content because I don't like the game, and I feel like it would be a disservice to you, the viewer, to have me falsely pushing a game that I don't even think is enjoyable. So I won't do that. I do, however, accept video deals of games I like, and then occasionally I find myself slipping into my spending pattern of, oh, just maybe $100 here, $50 there, $25 for that package, and next thing you know, I've ended up spending $100, like in the case of Raid Shadow Legends, or maybe $1,000, like in the case of Skylanders, or $10,000 in the case of Lineage 2 Revolution. Whatever the case may be, there was a reason behind the madness, and part of it was that I was getting compensated, but the other part was that I was just actually enjoying myself. And yes, any of those videos I made, I could have spent $0. I didn't need to spend anything. But what ends up happening is I'm playing the game, I'm enjoying myself, and I just feel like that urge to progress a little bit faster, and next thing you know, my credit card is out and we are spending money on gems or diamonds or gold or whatever the currency might be. So yeah, all right, so that is the story behind the 3 reasons. Now, of course, I've spent money on every single Supercell game that has ever come out, yes, including Heyday. Heyday fell under number 3 because I never got paid for playing Heyday. I just actually enjoyed playing the game, and this was the one Supercell game that most of my family was playing at one point. Like we had a farm where we had like 6 or 7 different family members or neighborhood or whatever it was called. So yes, that Heyday was the only game that I can remember that I've ever played that I didn't make any content about, yet spent quite a bit of money on. Now, there was, of course, PUBG Mobile, which I had a blast playing, I have to say. And scenes like this absolutely made my day. I was never really that good at it because, of course, money doesn't buy you skill. It just buys you skins or whatever the case may be. Watch this kill here. Ready? Wait. Okay.
Oh!
So we had some good times, and that was a lot of fun as well. But as we tally everything up, here's the way I look at it. So Clash of Clans was about $60,000 total. Clash Royale has been about $20,000 total, and that also includes, I was sponsored by a streaming platform for a few months to put on those really expensive tournaments. If you recall, those tournaments that cost like $700 each. I think that I spent somewhere around $15,000 on Clash Royale tournaments, but I was reimbursed for that. So yes, about $20,000 to $25,000 on Clash Royale, then about $10,000 on Lineage 2 Revolution, about $5,000 or $10,000 on other miscellaneous mobile games, and it brings us to a grand total of over $100,000 spent on mobile games. Now, yes, so it's been a lot of money, and when I look at it this way, it's kind of crazy. But then I also have to realize that I am extremely fortunate that, you know, to be able to do what I do now, to be my own boss, to make my own hours, even though I am working much longer hours than I ever did at my Monday through Friday 9 to 5 style job. You know, there's something about just doing what you love, and it's that old saying, do what you love and you never work a day in your life. I completely believe in that. And I know I may sound like a broken record. I have you guys, the people that are watching this video right now, to thank for this. You are the reason I am doing what I love. You are the reason that my daughters could both afford to go to college. You are the reason that we were able to give our dog chemotherapy rather than just put him down. You don't even know how much that means to me. Thank you guys so much. I love every last one of you guys. And if you don't believe me or you misunderstand me for any reason, come by a Facebook live stream and talk to me personally about it. fb.gg/realgaladongaming. Also remember, I am giving away more and more gems all the time, gift cards like crazy. I've given away over 1 million gems in the past, and I'm going to keep doing it even more now that we have the creator code. So that is going to wrap up the episode. Thank you guys for blizzle fristing it. Now get out there and make the best of the rest of your day. Be kind to people, animals, and the planet. And I hope to see you all back here again tomorrow for more Full Attacks.